So the other day I was doing a little Googling to prepare to talk to a journalist about kink. And I was like, okay, what do people get when they sit down at Google and put in fear play? I came across this and nearly fell out of my chair. Now I'll show it to you in a second, but I had these thoughts of like, this is exactly why I do what I do. So much of my work with students and coaching clients involves undoing myths and stereotypes and misinformation and like dangerous misinformation that people get when they're just trying to do a little Googling and educate themselves on kink so they can stay safe. This kind of information causes harm. And when I say misinformation, I don't necessarily mean, like flat out lies. Oftentimes, the things that you're not exactly saying or not clarifying or not anticipating how they might be interpreted and used by the people reading that information is just as bad and can be just as damaging as flat out lies or wrong information. Put it right here. It is the entry for fear play in Wikipedia. And wait, before you're like, but Wikipedia, come on. You and I might know that Wikipedia isn't always accurate, but folks out there are like, well, it's on the internet, so it must be true. And really, even when you and I read Wikipedia as a starting point, we can't often discern which stuff is on the money, because sometimes Wikipedia is like, mwah, and which stuff is, so we're subject to that too. It's right here, and I'm reading on my screen. While limits are usually set out in play, I had to censor it because social media, they may be pushed or ignored in some edge play scenes to heighten arousal, blah, blah, blah. Here's what they're not saying. The person having their limits pushed is only having them pushed because they requested it. They have full consent with their partner. They've negotiated every last detail, and they've said, in this role play, I want you to act like you're really pushing me, but I'm the one requesting it. And we have specified every last detail, and we have stop measures in place where if something goes wrong, we can call a safe word. We have plan Bs in place. Like, what if it really goes wrong? What do we do? We've talked about all this stuff. It's not a willy-nilly pushing of limits. And as written, that's the way it's interpreted by most readers. Oh, this is willy-nilly. Willy-nilly isn't consensual. And if there's no consent, it's not kink. It's potentially assault. This is not describing a controlled, planned, intentional, consensual experience. And that's not only very misleading, that is potentially dangerously misleading. The other highlight deserves an honorable mention. Asphyxiation and castration play are common within edge play subsections. If you're giving it a stretch, not technically wrong, but super misleading and not gonna be interpreted in the way it should by people reading who are just trying to learn about kink. First, castration play. Common? No. Does it happen? Sure. Now that hyperlink goes to a page on Wikipedia, not on castration play, but actual castration. The vast majority of people who play out this scenario in kink roles are doing it in a smoke and mirrors type of way. They're not actually, chopping hot dog. There's threats and there's role plays and maybe there's a blindfold so certain sensations feel like there's something scary, but they're really not. We are just play acting. Are there some people that take it farther? Yeah, but not very many. That's really, really, really unusual. And the ethics of that, things that are that extreme, are highly debated within the kink community itself. But I know nothing about kink and nothing about edge play or fear play, and I come across this article and I think, oh my goodness, that dom that I've been talking to on a dating website wants to, this is what I have to get involved in? No! And same with asphyxiation. I've made lots of videos that get into specifics about this. They're in my playlist, so go watch those. I'm just going to do a quick drive-by. Like I said, technically, okay, but this is where knowing how readers will interpret things and how things land with them and the specific meanings of Very specific words really come into play. And just like that other link, this link goes to a page about asphyxiation, like in the real world, like unaliving kind. In kink, this is consensual play. And this is also where knowing how misinformation that is spreading throughout not only the kink community, but pop culture is currently doing harm. And when it comes to breath play and all its forms, we've got a huge problem right now. Breath play could be as simple as, I command you to hold your breath for 10 seconds. Or it could be a lot more extreme and a lot more dangerous. Remember, there is no safe way to do this. Only ways to mitigate risks. And when it does go wrong, it goes really, really wrong. Like unalive kind of wrong. Or maybe stroke or, lots of bad things. And the problem is with the asphyxiation flavor of things, that's super risky. Yes, people do it, but when they do it, if it's done right and approached right and consensually, takes a lot of training, a lot of know-how, a lot of negotiation, and informed consent, meaning you know all of the risks and you know that like bad things have happened. I know plenty of stories where things have gone really, really wrong. And plenty of folks who are experienced in kink, they're like, I don't play that way. It's just too risky for me. But go on dating sites, video sites, even right here on TikTok, and there are people teaching how to do that kind of really extreme, dangerous breath play, saying that it's safe. Comb websites like Reddit, and there are dozens, if not hundreds of threads. Like, me and my partner saw how to do this and we were told it was safe and we tried it and things got real bad. I went to the hospital. Somebody had some permanent injuries. I had no idea it was unsafe. Why aren't people telling us that? Again, long involved story. Go check my playlist on this. But point being, Wikipedia is just like, yeah, people do that. And the most extreme form, and we're going to link to the page. Irresponsible, misleading, dangerous. So then that leaves, just regular you and me. What do we do if we're trying to learn this stuff? And of course, we're turning to the internet for information. Well, a lot of the people teaching this stuff, they get their information from Wikipedia. So they're passing on really damaging misinformation or things that are flat out incorrect. Therefore, the internet is filled with, I hate to quote G.I. Joe, or maybe I don't hate to quote G.I. Joe, but knowing is half the battle. Know that this is an issue. And like I said, this is a lot of what I teach about. I teach media literacy classes for people learning about kink. And I also touch on this stuff in the class I have coming up, a no BS approach to kink. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot, which is why I encourage you, come to my class, learn about this stuff. And in the meantime, know that when you are looking up things, and it's not just on Wikipedia, it could be on kink websites from people who really seem like they know what they're talking about, you can run into this information. And as I said, just knowing to double check sources, and it's a whole web, it's a whole tangled web, but stay safe and know that what you read on the internet isn't necessarily true.